Hi there, Crafty Friends. Welcome back to my channel. It's Rose, and I'm here to share what's going on my craft desk. What do I have that I'm working on? When last we left off, I was telling you that I was spring cleaning my craft room, and I really am making a strong effort to use my stash just because prices are going up. Things are getting a little bit harder to get. I'm not crazy about paying shipping charges. So when I do buy something, it's usually through Amazon because I have Prime and free shipping. But there's nothing really out there that's been exciting me. So I've just been kind of going through my stash and, just using what I have and crafting with that. So for today, I'm going to tag two wonderful crafters because I think what I'm going to share today sort of pertains to some challenges that they're having or collabs. The first one is Lucia from Tiho Creates, and she hosts What's Up Wednesday. And although I'm showing this on Friday, What's Up Wednesday is a fun collab where you can just pop in and share what you're working on or what is happening in your life on a Wednesday. The second one is Mary Ellen from Mary Ellen's Crafts and Hauls, and she has a collab that's called Project Share Thursday. And both are wonderful crafters, have amazing channels. You can share your projects and tag Mary Ellen. I will link both of their channels, Lucia and Mary Ellen, in my description box. Please be sure to check out their channels as well. So what's on my craft desk? That's a little hashtag that I've sort of adopted. Today I'm making some cards, or I have been the last week. It's beautiful here in Florida, so I've been getting out as much as I can, not hunkering down too long in my craft room. I have my own reading challenge that I'm working on. I'm getting some beautiful sunshine and my steps in. But when I'm in my craft room, I've been making some cards. So I thought I would share today how I store my scraps and how I sort of do assembly line. This is my big pink binder of scraps. Now, I traditionally am not a scrap person. By that, I mean that when I create with cardstock, I usually don't save all the itty-bitty scraps. What I try to do is save larger scraps and then cut them down to usable sizes for me. That either means layering pieces that I can use for card bases, or I cut them down to 2.5 by 3.5, and I use those for ATCs. So I just thought I would show this binder. And maybe this will give you a little bit of inspiration for storing some of your scraps. I just take a binder and some page protectors, and I try to store them by color. So these are like my black and whites and reds and so forth, specialty papers, or just, cardstock that there's a lot left. Again, cardstock is one of the things that I feel like is going up in price, and so I'm sort of digging back through this and seeing what I can use here before I cut into new pages. So that's the way I store my scraps. Again, I don't save little tiny scraps, just big ones that I know that I can either use for layering pieces or for making memory decks or ATC. Also in this binder, I have some little booklets that give you some ideas for card layouts. Now, if you know me, you know that I don't really follow card sketches, although I think they're great. And I really admire a lot of the card makers that do. I have just tucked a couple of these in this binder just for occasional inspiration if I really feel like I'm stuck. But I usually just create my cards by the seat of my pants. In other words, I get the cardstock out and I decide what I want to do with it, and then I let that inspire me along with maybe ephemera or stickers that I have. Here's another one of one-sheet wonders. This is something that I think is great. I've never mastered one-sheet wonders. I really have a great admiration for crafters that take a 12 by 12 and use every bit of it up by doing a one sheet wonder or even a 6 by 6. I'm not that person. And then this is another sheet that I downloaded actually years ago, and it just is a quick reference for layering sizes. But I really prefer the nested dies for taking care of this math for me. So I rely a lot on that. Otherwise, I do very simple layering with 1 or 2 layers and just let the paper dictate. So I thought that would be fun to show. Now, also what I have on my desk are some pre-made card bases. And I picked these up from either, if I don't make them myself, and I've been sort of being careful with my white cardstock, so I'm not using a lot of that for card bases lately. I'm just using pre-made card bases that I pick up either at Hobby Lobby or Walmart, believe it or not, has great card bases for a reasonable price with the envelopes, especially A2, but they have other sizes as well. I prefer the A2 size. And then I got these smaller card bases. I can't remember where I picked up this packet from. It's a little bit smaller than an A2, but I think these are fun for thank you cards or quick little birthday cards. So I have those on my desk. And then I've gone through several of my 12 by 12 paper packs, and I've been cutting them down to card front sizes. And this is a great way to just break out those 12 by 12 pads and make sure that you use them. So I typically will cut them to 6 by 6 size and then cut card fronts from that. And you get some very, without doing a lot of, of a one sheet wonder, you get some very usable pieces that you can use to accent your card fronts as well. So I have a whole stack of these. I actually have several stacks. And, this is the way that I like to do like assembly line card making. I will take a card base and do, just a simple layer. And then I like to have some sentiments cut out or stamped. I'm running low on those, so I'll probably go through, take my stamps out, and do a lot of pre-stamping and then cutting out sentiments. Sentiments is the #1 thing that is really important for me to have pre-made, because it saves a lot of time when you're card making. Specifically when you get into holiday card making, you're making a lot of thank you cards or Christmas cards or Halloween cards. If you have your sentiments already stamped and die cut, and you can just pull from those. So I try to have a stash of these available, but this week I've been using what I had already cut. I have some die cuts that I had in a little folio that I pulled out and just made, cards with that. I'm trying to, again, use what I've got, particularly when we get closer to making Christmas cards. I like to be really, really well organized. But these are fun spring and summer and thank you cards, thinking of you cards. That's really what I'm working on right now. So let me show you, I'll move this stuff out of the way, and then I'll show you some things that I created this week. Okay, so just about everything that I'm going to be showing, I believe I used Recollections paper for, and just cut it down. These were 12 by 12, and just really, really pretty cardstock. Good quality, too, from Recollections. This is a little Celebrate that I had stamped and die cut from Pink and Maine, and just add some simple enamel dots. And that's my first card. This is one of the little bit smaller note cards that I had. And again, I just did a couple of layering pieces, real simple design, another little cutoff from the pink. And then these are some stickers that I had in my stash. Again, another sentiment that I die cut, stamped and die cut from Pink and Maine. And I just leave the insides of these blank. I love that color combination. Here is another one with a gray base that I had just cut out a while back and had it ready to go, and then a couple of different layerings, including like a real pretty gold foil that I used around the edge of this one, and that navy and sort of violet. These enamel dots are also from Pink and Maine, and they have some sparkle to them. Here's another one with the Recollections paper, and I stamped directly on this because there was that perfect spot for a sentiment stamp there. So I used my VersaFine Vintage Sepia, which is a real pretty brown. And then these are some of my favorite sentiment stamps from Sizzix. It's a lot of phrases, thanks, hello, thinking of you. That thinking of you I use quite a bit. And just some simple enamel dots, but just really quick and easy. So you don't have to spend too much time putting a card together to, you know, if you're under a deadline, sometimes you can just reach in and pull some of that paper that you already have to make a really pretty card. And here's my next one. Thank you so much for checking in on me today and taking a look at what's happening on my craft desk. Leave me a comment and let me know what you're working on. I'm wishing you a wonderful day. Remember to use that craft stash, and I'll see you next time.